Hey boys and girls, this is lesson 5.2. It's all about the whole for fractions. So make sure you get that written in your notebook as well as today's date. And when you're done with that, you can come back. And yes, I really do want you to write lesson 5.2, the whole for fractions, with today's date in your notebook. I will be looking at that when you come to the lesson. So please make sure you take care of that. It helps you focus on what am I learning about when you record the title. Thank you. Okay, my question for you. I just want you to know I did put all of our fraction circles up at the top of all the slides for today so that you have a picture in your mind of what we're talking about in case you have not memorized our fraction circles. That represents them right there, all right? So, my question, if a light blue fraction circle piece is worth 1/3, what single fraction circle piece is the whole? So if one of those light blues, so the light blue I'm talking about like right here, if one of these light blues is representative of 1/3, what single fraction piece would be considered the whole? So think about that. Give it a try in your notebook. When you've given it a try, come on back to see what the answer is. Okay, so here's how I would have solved that. So I look at the single fraction piece saying it's 1/3, so 1/3 means 1 out of the 3. So I went ahead and got for myself, so what would 3 of them be like? So that would then be the whole, right? 3 out of 3. And I found what piece looks like that? Well, it's that half circle right there. So the answer would be 1 pink. Make sense? Okay, so think about that. And then my new question for you, based on that, what equation could you write that would represent this problem? So give that some thought, give it a try, and when you think you have it, come on back. Here we go. So the equation that would go with that would be 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 1 whole. And the 1 whole for this one is that 1 pink. All right, if this already is a little confusing to you, go back and listen to this again. All right, if you're feeling good, keep moving forward. So here's my new question. So for this problem, this purple fraction piece is now 1/4 of a new whole. The whole has nothing to do with the pink necessarily, okay? It's a new one. So this purple fraction piece is 1/4 of the new whole, or the entire thing. So will the new whole be larger or smaller than the whole for the last problem? So if one of these fraction pieces right here is 1/4 of a new whole, is that whole going to be bigger than that pink half that was the whole the last time in the last problem? What do you think? Is the new one going to be larger or smaller? And how do you know? You should be able to figure that out. Well, how could you figure it out? Give that a shot. Write down your notes in your notebook. When you think you have it, come back. Okay. Hopefully you figured out it would be smaller. The new whole would be smaller. How do you know? Well, you could have thought, well, if the whole is the same, we know that 1/4 is smaller than 1/3. So in this case, when I combine the 4 purple pieces, because now I said it was 1/4, so when I combine 4 of those to make the whole, it's smaller than this pink piece. Okay, 4 of these is smaller than the pink, which means I know that it's going to be smaller. The whole is smaller. Okay, so in the last problem, the whole was a single fraction piece, but in this problem, you're going to need to use more than 1 piece to show the whole. Okay, so it's not going to be as easy as that simple 1 pink fraction. It's going to be different than that. That's okay. So let's figure it out now. So if the purple fraction piece is a fourth of the whole, then what is the whole? Give that some thought. Take a look. Use these up here that can benefit you. See what you can come up with. When you think you have it, come on back. All right. Hopefully you figured out that it would be 2 dark greens. 2 dark greens would be the same as those 4 purple fraction pieces. All right. Take a look and see if that makes sense to you. I did go ahead and put them right here so you could see how those are the same size. So with that understanding, what equation can be written to represent this problem now? Try that. All right, hopefully you figured out, well, they're fourths, so if I do 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, I'm going to get the whole. And the whole this time happens to be these 2 dark greens. Together make the whole. All right? How about this? So in the last lesson, you started with a fraction and learned how to decompose it. In this lesson, you're doing the reverse. You're starting with a fraction and determining the whole. Think that through. So let's practice some more, okay? For this first one here, if one dark blue, I'm reading down here, if one dark blue fraction piece is a half, so one of these equals the half, what would be the whole? This is 1/2. What's the whole? And what equation can represent that? Same thing we were doing on the last slide. So figure this out. And then go on after you get that one, do this one. If 2 of these light blue fraction pieces make 1/3, then what would the whole be for that? And what equation can represent it? And if 2 orange pieces make a half, then what is the whole? This one's a little tricky. Don't be fooled. These 2 make a half. That should make you say, wait a minute, but there's only one left. Yeah, but a whole doesn't have to be only a single fraction. Could be more. Don't be fooled. All right? Give it a go for these 3 problems. When you think you have them, come on back. All right? Hopefully you saw that one dark blue fraction piece being a half means one yellow would be a whole. Notice that if you put 2 of those together, it's showing you a quarter, right? A quarter of this whole thing. That's what this is. All right? And it would be a half plus a half equals 1. For this one, 2 light blue make 1/3. So if I did the other 2 for 2/3 and the other 2 for 3/3, I've got a whole one. The whole one is the red. All right? 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 1. And if 2 orange fraction pieces make a half, what's the whole? Well, I could do it as simply as saying 4 orange fraction pieces, right? So it's going to be this whole one plus 1 more. But my problem is still a half plus a half equals 1. This one whole can be more than just this one whole. That's a concept you have to be able to get comfortable with. I hope that makes sense to you. All right, let's move on. So this one's a little bit tougher. Like that last one was a little bit tougher than the previous ones. Here's a tougher one too. So if one yellow fraction piece is 3/4, so this one is 3/4, what's the whole? How would I figure that out? This is 3 out of the 4 right here. Think about that. And then what equation can represent that? And then if 2 light blue fraction pieces make 1/3, what's the whole? And what equation can represent that? Give those 2 problems a try. Really think about them before you go to the next slide. This is you developing the concept. So think about it, give it a try, and then come back. All right. So for the tougher one, if the one yellow fraction piece is 3/4, I have to figure out what would go in here to make this 3 pieces out of 4? Well, I can see that the green, 3 of the greens would equal that. So there we go. So now I know what my 3/4 is. So to make 4/4, I'm going to add 1 more of this size, right? And if I do that, this is the shape I would end up with, which then is the size of 1 orange piece. Lots of steps for that one, but I hope that makes sense. I said this was 3/4, 3 out of 4. So what can I divide this up by 3? The green. All right, and here's your equation. 3/4 plus 1/4 equals 1. And for this one, 1 dark green fraction piece is worth 2/3, then what's the whole? So you can see there, 3 purples would make sense, or 2 light blues would make sense. You'd be okay either way. But if I said this was worth 2/3, then I'm going to have to figure out, oh, so this is 2 out of the 3, this purple, this dark green is 2 out of the 3. So how can I break this into 2 equal parts? That's what this is, right? And I need to know 3 equal parts. So I could say 3 purples. I can notice also that would be 2 light blues. Equation's still the same. 2/3 plus 1/3 equals 1. Ha! Have I blown your mind? Hope not. So let's practice this concept on page 157 in your math journal. Complete that page. Give it your best effort. Then come back when you're done and check to see if you have it right. We will be discussing it in the lesson. So pause me. Come on back to check it. And here are the answers to that. I hope it all makes sense to you. Make sure you get yours corrected in pen so that I can see what ones you had to correct so I know which ones I need to discuss with you. All right, have a fabulous night.